Snowbirds aren't coming back. Hotel rooms are sitting empty. Shops near the border are shutting their doors. But this isn't just about a few canceled vacations. Canada's quiet tourism boycott is silently gutting entire American towns. Places that once thrived on Canadian dollars are now facing a cold, economic storm no one saw coming. Some states are losing billions. Others, they're watching their lifelines. Ski resorts, golf courses, and beach towns shrivel into ghost zones. Which state is losing the most? And could your local economy be next? Let's break down the 10 US states being hit hardest by Canada's sudden retreat from American soil. Number 1, Florida. And here it is, the epicenter. Florida might be the biggest casualty of Canada's tourism slowdown. Why? Because no other US state has bet so heavily on Canadian visitors. From Fort Lauderdale to Orlando, Canadian snowbirds have fueled Florida's winter economy, contributing over $4 billion a year, or at least they used to. In 2025, Canadian arrivals are down nearly 25% from pre-pandemic levels. Condos sit empty. RV parks and golf courses report record low bookings. Even theme parks in Orlando are seeing lower spending per visitor. This isn't just an economic problem, it's cultural. Entire Florida towns were built around the idea that Canadians always come back. But now, that assumption is unraveling. Number 2, California. Golden beaches, gray outlook. California has long been the crown jewel for Canadian travelers. From Disneyland to Napa, from Los Angeles to Lake Tahoe. But in 2025, something broke. Canadian visits are down 21% statewide, even more in cities like San Diego and Santa Barbara. Rodeo Drive is quieter. Napa Valley wineries are scaling back tastings. Ski resorts are reporting empty cabins. Canadians aren't just any tourists. They're high-spending, loyal, and consistent. Without them, California's tourism economy, one of the largest in the US, is beginning to show cracks. Number 3, Nevada. Bright lights, quiet floors. Las Vegas once pulled in Canadian tourists by the thousands, especially in winter. But by spring 2025, Canadian visits dropped by a staggering 28%. Casino floors are quieter. Resort shows are underbooked. In Laughlin and Reno, RV parks are reporting record cancellations. 1 in 10 international visitors to Las Vegas used to be Canadian. Now, resorts are worried, especially with US inflation keeping domestic visitors at bay too. This isn't a seasonal issue. It's a structural change in tourism patterns, one that could force Nevada to reinvent itself fast. Number 4, New York. The skyline still sparkles, but up north, it's a different story. Western New York, Buffalo, Niagara Falls, Plattsburgh is feeling the Canadian freeze. Visits are down 25% year over year. Fewer cars on the Peace Bridge, fewer shoppers at the outlet malls, fewer weekend getaways booked from Ontario. Gift shops near Niagara report revenue drops of 15 to 30%. Even Plattsburgh International Airport, once marketed as Montreal's US airport, is struggling to fill seats. This isn't just a tourism slump, it's a deep economic disruption for regions that built themselves around cross-border ties. Number 5, Arizona. Sunshine, golf, and silence. Arizona's snowbird cities, Phoenix, Mesa, Yuma, once buzzed with Canadian life all winter. But in 2025, those visitors are vanishing. Travel from Canada is down 22% during peak season. RV parks sit half empty. Condos that once had waiting lists now beg for tenants. Restaurants in Tucson are trimming staff. Golf resorts near Scottsdale are slashing prices. Canadians were Arizona's most reliable tourists, staying longer, spending more, returning year after year. Now they're disappearing, and with them, the very structure of Arizona's winter economy. Number 6, Michigan. Look across the Ambassador Bridge and you'll see it. The thinning lifeline. Michigan is more than a neighbor to Canada, it's a gateway. But in 2025, it's losing its grip. Canadian visits dropped 19% between January and April. In cities like Detroit, Port Huron, and Sault Ste. Marie, it's noticeable. Casinos that once relied on Canadian gamblers are going quiet. Outlet malls have cut back weekend staff. Before 2020, Canadians made up nearly 20% of Detroit's gaming revenue. Now, that number is sliding. Michigan's economy, from manufacturing to retail, has long been linked to cross-border money. And without it, everything slows down. Number 7. Washington. The highways are busy, the ferries are running, but look closer. Washington's border towns are showing deep cracks. Canadian visitors once poured in from British Columbia for shopping, Seahawks games, gas fill-ups, or just a cheaper night out. But during Canada's Family Day weekend in 2025, traffic at major crossings plummeted. Peace Arch down 45%, Pacific Highway down 34%, Sumas down 11%, Blaine, Linden, and Bellingham, towns that thrived on that traffic, are feeling the sting. Retailers are seeing steep weekend drop-offs. Gas stations near the border are losing hundreds of customers each week. Even ski resorts near Mount Baker are seeing fewer rentals and snowbird retreats. Is this just a seasonal slump or a warning of something more permanent? Number 8. Maine lobsters, lighthouses, empty roads. Maine's economy has long relied on one thing: Canadians driving across the border. But from February to April 2025, Maine saw 166,000 fewer Canadian crossings, a shocking 26% decline. Hotels in Bangor are struggling. Outlet malls near Kittery report fewer Quebec and New Brunswick plates. Small towns that banked on day trippers are cutting staff, shortening hours, or going dark entirely. And it's not just tourism. Canadian visitors also came for healthcare, shopping, and seasonal work. That's all vanishing. Border towns like Calais and Holton were already teetering. Now they're slipping fast. Number 9. Texas. Sunny skies, empty pockets. Texas has long been a favorite for Canadian snowbirds, but now it's one of the hardest hit states. The U.S. Travel Association estimates Texas could lose over $1.4 billion in Canadian tourism revenue if current trends hold. Cities like San Antonio, Dallas, and Houston are already feeling the pullback. Fewer hotel stays, fewer restaurant visits, fewer dollars. Seasonal businesses that once thrived on snowbird traffic are scaling back or shutting down altogether. Is this just a temporary dip or the beginning of a deeper collapse in southern tourism? Number 10. Hawaii. Paradise is in trouble. Hawaii has long been a winter dream for thousands of Canadians, but in 2025, that dream is fading fast. Bookings from Canadian travelers have dropped 14% as of mid-February. That may not seem huge until you realize how deeply Hawaii depends on international visitors. Maui hotels are half empty. Tour guides are scrambling for work. Rental condos that used to be booked a year in advance now sit vacant. Tourism makes up nearly 1/5 of Hawaii's economy, so when even one international market pulls back, the ripple turns into a tidal wave, crushing restaurants, shops, and local workers in its path. No warning, no backup plan, just silence. This list isn't just about numbers, it's a wake-up call. When international ties break down, the impact hits small businesses, families, and entire communities. From Hawaii's resorts to Florida's beaches, the Canadian retreat is reshaping local economies across America. If your state made this list, or even if it didn't, it's time to ask tough questions. How resilient is your local economy? What happens if this trend continues? Thanks for watching. If this opened your eyes, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us keep digging deep, connecting the dots, and telling stories others ignore. Because the next big tourism collapse might be even closer than you think.